Hello, Leo soul. What if I told you that today, May 29th, is not just another day, but a threshold? A quiet portal is opening, and through it, a hidden fortune is waiting. But only those who are truly listening will hear the knock. If you've landed here, I don't believe it's by accident. In fact, I don't believe in accidents at all. The universe doesn't work that way. It moves through resonance, through alignment, and through divine timing. And something about your energy, right now, today, drew this message to you. That's no small thing. Pause for a moment. Feel that? That subtle inner pull? The gentle tension in the air? Maybe you've noticed strange dreams lately, or little synchronicities, numbers repeating, an unexpected message, an unexplainable calm or ache in your chest. These are not just random blips. They are cosmic breadcrumbs. And today, they're pointing you towards something powerful, a sign. A strange one. One that will seem subtle, until it changes everything. Because behind this sign, behind that nudge, that coincidence, that flicker of knowing, is something you've been longing for. Maybe without even realizing it. A hidden fortune. Not just in the material sense, though that too may come. But a fortune in clarity. In timing. In truth. And perhaps, most importantly, in peace. You see, Leo, your journey has never been about noise. It's about radiance. And radiance doesn't chase. It magnetizes. But you can't attract what's meant for you if you're busy proving you're worthy of it. And I know you've done enough of that already. Today is about remembering, reclaiming, the truth that you've always been enough to receive. So let me be clear, this isn't just another horoscope reading. This is an energetic activation. A moment for you to realign with your divine core. Not through force, but through awareness. Through stillness. Through allowing. Before we go further, I want to take a sacred pause to thank you, deeply and sincerely, for being here. Every time you like, comment, share, or subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, you help carry this message of transformation to souls who are searching for it. You're not just a viewer, you're a co-creator in this space. And from my heart to yours, thank you. Your energy fuels this channel more than you know. So now let me ask you something. What did you do? What did your soul whisper to bring this message into your life today? What was the prayer you didn't speak aloud, the longing you kept hidden, the vibration you sent out into the universe that now returns to you in the form of this video? Because Leo, beloved heart, something extraordinary is moving your way. And not in the loud, dramatic way you might expect. No, this blessing is quiet. But it is real. And it is yours. Stay with me until the end of this message. Because what the universe is about to reveal might just be what you've been waiting for your whole life. A strange sign is not always a miracle dressed in lightning. It's often a whisper in the quiet moments, a thread of subtle energy woven into everyday life. You may notice it in the way a stranger suddenly says exactly what your heart needed to hear, or in the way a long-lost item resurfaces just as it's needed most. Perhaps it arrives in a dream, soft and luminous, that leaves you with a stillness you can't explain. These are not just coincidences. They are messengers of alignment, surfacing when your inner world and the universal flow begin to resonate once again. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun, signs rarely come as dramatic declarations from the outside. They emerge as sudden clarity from within, a moment of intuitive certainty, like light bursting through clouds. When Leos are attuned to their essence, they don't need logical proof. They simply know. But this inner brilliance requires silence to be heard, and space to be felt. When the mind is too noisy or the heart too guarded, even the loudest spiritual signs can pass by unnoticed. That's why this particular moment, today, May 29th, is so important. There is something distinct in the air, a vibration in harmony with completion and recognition. The energetic combination of 2 and 9, reflected through numerology, creates a unique doorway. 2 represents union, balance, and the sacred meeting point between self and other. 9 symbolizes culmination, transcendence, and insight born from experience. When these frequencies merge, they do not push, they invite. The sign you are waiting for will not arrive with force. It will arrive because you are in rhythm with it. Think of a door. A door never opens itself simply because you demand it. It yields when your key matches the lock, when your timing aligns with its readiness. And sometimes, the only key is your willingness to be present. In certain wisdom traditions, it's taught that when one ceases striving, the path appears. That truth is echoed here. This sign you're sensing will not respond to striving or effort. It reveals itself when striving ends. Many people misunderstand signs as rare, miraculous events, but in reality, signs are constant. What's rare is our awareness. That is why cultivating stillness matters, not spiritual detachment, but embodied presence. When you learn to witness without grasping, and to feel without clinging, you begin to see what has always been there. The breath becomes slower. The world softens. And suddenly, you recognize. What makes May 29th so significant isn't just the date, it's the state of energy it supports. This is a day when your inner perception is heightened, not by accident, but because your soul has reached a certain readiness. You don't need to force insight. You only need to allow it. Just like a lotus blooms only when the conditions are right, not because it is told to, but because it knows how to respond to light, so too will your sign emerge, without noise, without pressure, only presence. So if you felt that something has been trying to reach you, some message or pattern, this might be the moment it reveals itself. Not as an answer from outside, but as a knowing from within. The most profound signs don't change your life by arriving. They change your life by showing you that you were already on the path, you just hadn't looked closely enough to realize it. This is not about seeking more. This is about seeing what's already seeking you. Sometimes, the most powerful transformations come not from doing more, but from finally allowing ourselves to stop. In the energetic landscape of Leo, where the fire of self-expression burns bright and the desire to shine is as natural as breathing, there is also an invisible pressure that builds, one that whispers, you have to earn it. Earn the love, earn the peace, earn the joy. It's a pattern many Leos carry without realizing, rooted not in weakness but in an inner loyalty to proving worth. But what if the truth is far simpler, and far more liberating? What if your light was never something to be earned, but something that already is? As we move into the heart of today's energy, supported by the harmonizing influence of Venus, there is a shift in invitation. You are not being asked to prove. You are being asked to receive. To release the armor of perfectionism, the belief that struggle is a prerequisite to blessing, and to remember that your radiance has always been enough. This doesn't mean giving up your goals or turning away from ambition. Leo thrives in movement, in creation, in being seen. But there is a difference between action that comes from fear of not being enough, and action that arises naturally from a place of peace. The former exhausts. The latter expands. In traditions that study the nature of the self, it's often said that true wisdom arises not when you add more, but when you subtract what no longer belongs. Like a sculptor removing stone to reveal what was already there, your task today is not to become brighter, but to peel away whatever has made you forget your light. And here's the deeper layer: real magnetism doesn't come from performing your power. It comes from being your power, quietly and consistently. Just as the sun never needs to shout to be seen, your presence speaks for itself when it's rooted in truth. People are drawn not to your image, but to your ease. And ease comes when you stop fighting to be enough. This is the healing Venus brings you today, not through grand gestures, but through softness. Through the choice to breathe a little deeper. To rest a little longer. To say, no more proving. That's not giving up. That's growing into alignment. We often assume that receiving means doing less, or settling. But energetically, receiving requires immense courage. It asks you to drop your defenses. To believe that you're worthy of good things, now, not later. To trust that joy doesn't always need to be earned through exhaustion, but can arrive because you are finally still enough to let it in. And if you felt like you've had to hold it all together, always smiling, always strong, today is your gentle reminder that vulnerability is not weakness. It's sacred. It's magnetic. When you allow yourself to simply be, without fixing or performing, you return to the essence of who you are. And in that return, your true radiance flows. Naturally. Effortlessly. Deservingly. So let yourself soften today. Let go of one small burden, one outdated story. Whisper quietly, even if only to yourself, I am enough to receive. And as you do, notice how the world responds. Not because you tried harder, but because you finally believed you didn't have to. Receiving is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the human journey. We are taught from a young age that rewards must be earned, that love must be deserved, that rest must be justified. Especially for someone with Leo's heart, fiery, expressive, and naturally giving, the desire to lead with generosity can easily evolve into a life pattern of overextending. You offer your light freely, sometimes forgetting that light needs refueling too. It's not a lack of effort that blocks abundance, it's the deep-rooted habit of rejecting it before it even has a chance to reach you. What if all your hard work wasn't the missing piece? What if the shift you're seeking now comes not from doing more, but from receiving differently? May 29th arrives as an energetic mirror, gently reflecting back everything you've already planted but may have denied yourself the permission to harvest. The universal frequencies today echo a single truth. It's time to stop asking, have I earned this? And instead begin asking, can I allow this in? This is where the Six of Pentacles emerges, not just as a card, but as a cosmic reminder. This archetype invites balance, harmony between giving and receiving, between effort and grace. Yet many find themselves stuck in an imbalance they don't notice, the internal refusal to receive without guilt, hesitation, or overanalysis. The heart says, yes, but the conditioning says, wait, not yet. In practical energy work, it's understood that everything is exchange. We inhale and exhale, speak and listen, give and receive. But in many people, the giving channel is wide open, while the receiving one is tight and cautious. Imagine a beautiful stream, dammed only on one side. No matter how much you pour out, it will eventually run dry unless the flow comes back to you. You're not selfish for needing replenishment. You're not unworthy for wanting ease. You're human, and part of your growth is learning to accept without apology. In certain contemplative traditions, it is taught that real generosity is only complete when both sides participate fully. The giver offers without attachment, and the receiver accepts with presence and gratitude. To deny a gift is to interrupt the circle of abundance. And yet, so often we do just that, reject praise, deflect kindness, brush off help, because somewhere along the way, we were told we must struggle to deserve good things. Today, you're being asked to drop that old belief. You've done the work. You've shown up. You've loved, given, led. Now your only task is to receive, as naturally and fully as you give. And that can start small. Let yourself say thank you without explaining why you don't deserve it. Accept the compliment without diluting it. Receive a gift, even if it's just a moment of peace, without repaying it instantly. These are not small gestures. They are energetic recalibrations. Every time you allow yourself to rest without guilt, or smile at someone's kind words without awkwardness, you are telling the universe, I am open. I am safe to receive. That signal changes everything. Let May 29th be the day you say yes, not to more striving, but to softer receiving. Not because you stopped trying, but because you remembered that your worth was never conditional. You were never meant to prove your value through exhaustion. You were meant to live it through balance. And the more you allow, the more aligned your life becomes, not only with what you desire, but with who you truly are. In a world that rewards speed, performance, and comparison, it's easy to forget that your soul was not designed to chase approval, it was meant to shine. As a Leo, that truth is encoded in your essence. You weren't born to blend in, to follow the noise, or to meet external standards of success. You were born to radiate. But even radiance needs direction, and that direction always points back to purpose. The purpose I speak of is not a job title or a public achievement, but a deep, natural expression of who you are when nothing is forcing you to be anything else. Many people confuse purpose with pressure. They spend years running, grinding, measuring themselves against outcomes, only to find themselves exhausted and disconnected from the joy they once sought. But true purpose isn't something you chase. It's something you remember. It's something that awakens not when you're at your busiest, but when you become quiet enough to hear what was always there. So I ask you gently now, what made you feel alive before the world told you who you had to become? What did you love doing as a child, when no one was watching? What made your eyes light up, your breath slow down, your heart feel full without reason? These are not small questions. They are invitations back to alignment. In ancient practices that explore the nature of the mind and human fulfillment, it is said that joy is not the result of arriving somewhere, it is the guide. When we act in accordance with joy, not the kind that's fleeting and sensory, but the steady, subtle kind that comes from doing what feels deeply right, we begin to return to the original blueprint of our lives. Purpose is not a performance. It is a state of inner coherence. On May 29th, the energy invites you into that coherence. There's a quiet doorway open now, one that does not demand anything from you except honesty. Not with the world, but with yourself. Are you still living in a way that honors your natural light, or have you dimmed it to meet someone else's expectation of who you should be? This day offers a reset, not through dramatic change, but through gentle remembrance. To pause. To reconnect. To say to yourself, without shame or judgment, I remember who I am. And from that remembering, to realign your actions not with obligation, but with inspiration. In this process, do not be afraid of stepping back. Stepping back is not retreat. It is often the only way to see clearly. Like stepping away from a canvas so the painting makes sense, space allows you to see the whole picture. And in that space, you may find a version of yourself you thought you lost, one who still believes, still creates, still dreams not to impress, but because it feels sacred to do so. Purpose, when truly remembered, does not drain you. It doesn't require you to burn out in the name of achievement. It nourishes you. It creates energy. It aligns every part of your being and puts you back in flow. And in that flow, life begins to respond. People, opportunities, insights, they arrive not as accidents, but as companions to your clarity. So take this moment. Close your eyes. Feel into the simple question, what wants to come through me now, if I no longer need to prove anything? That question alone may be enough to light the way forward. Because your life was never meant to be a test of endurance. It was meant to be a steady unfolding of light. And the world is waiting for that light to return. There comes a point in every journey where striving must give way to stillness. Where effort, no matter how noble, begins to feel heavy, not because the goal is wrong, but because the timing isn't aligned. We've been taught that if we want something badly enough, we must chase it, demand it, earn it through force. But the truth is that life doesn't always respond to pressure. Sometimes, it only responds to presence. And May 29th is that quiet intersection, the moment when presence begins to matter more than performance. You may have knocked on many doors lately. Perhaps you've done the inner work, the reflection, the healing, and still wondered why things haven't fully opened. But not everything is withheld because you're unworthy or not ready. Often, it's because the seed you planted is simply taking the time it needs to grow. No matter how much you water it, shout at it, or plead for it to bloom, its emergence is governed by timing, not tension. There's a teaching found in many contemplative traditions that speaks to this. When the mind lets go of grasping, clarity arises. This isn't passive surrender. It's wise alignment. It's knowing the difference between force and flow, between impatience and presence. On this day, the universe is not asking for more effort from you, it's inviting you to soften. To let the door open from within, not because you kicked it down, but because you finally stopped pressing and allowed the timing to unfold. For Leo, whose energy is naturally forward-moving and action-driven, this can feel counterintuitive. Your instinct may be to push harder, do more, shine brighter. But even the sun sets each day, not in failure, but in trust. Trust that its light will return, trust that the night has its own kind of magic. Today, that same wisdom is being offered to you. Not all doors need to be knocked on. The right one doesn't require force, it opens when your energy resonates with its frequency. If you've been feeling exhausted, emotionally or spiritually, it may be because you've been giving everything to doors that were never yours to begin with. Or maybe they were, but not yet. And there's a difference. Knowing when to act and when to wait is one of the most refined forms of self-mastery. This isn't about giving up. It's about listening more deeply to the rhythm beneath the noise. There is a natural intelligence that governs timing, not the kind that watches clocks, but the kind that knows when a bird is ready to fly, when a flower is ready to bloom, or when a tide must return to shore. That same intelligence is within you. But it can only be accessed when you stop fighting the moment and start syncing with it. So today, rather than asking, "What more do I need to do?" ask, "Where am I already in alignment?" Rather than questioning your readiness, recognize your resonance. That shift, from effort to energy, from doing to being, creates space for the right doors to respond. And when they do, it won't feel like a struggle. It'll feel like something you knew all along, finally meeting you at the edge of your patience. Sometimes, the sign that you're ready isn't found in how hard you push, but in how deeply you trust. And maybe that trust, quiet, humble, unshaken, is what opens the door you've been waiting for. Not because you demanded it, but because you no longer needed to. Not because you were finally perfect, but because you finally allowed yourself to be here, in full presence, when the moment was right. If you're still here, still listening, still feeling, then something inside you has already awakened. Maybe it's been quiet for a long time. Maybe it's the part of you that knew, even before you could explain why, that today, May 29th, carries a different vibration. A deeper frequency. One that doesn't just talk about change but gently opens the door to it. You didn't find this message by accident. Not today. Not in this moment. Something in your soul aligned with the energy of now, something already ready to receive. And even if you still feel uncertain, even if you don't have all the answers yet, trust that awareness itself is already enough. The realization that you are allowed to stop searching, to stop trying to be more, to stop proving your worth, is the beginning of true transformation. What if, right now, the only thing standing between you and the next version of your life is permission? Not from anyone else, but from you. What if the peace, the abundance, the clarity, the connection you've been seeking has been quietly waiting for you to stop knocking on the wrong doors and instead sit still, so the right one can open from within? Today isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for presence. And your presence, dear Leo, is already enough. You were never meant to burn yourself out to be seen. You were meant to shine because you remember who you are. And you don't need to wait for the world to validate that anymore. Take a deep breath with me. Let your shoulders drop. Let the pressure soften. Say to yourself, out loud if you can, I am ready. I welcome what is meant for me. I receive it fully. That small moment of truth, spoken from your heart, carries more power than any plan or performance ever could. And now I ask you, what came up for you today? What part of this message touched something in you that felt forgotten? What insight landed, even if it was just a whisper? I invite you, gently, sincerely, to share it in the comments below. Not just for me, but for you. Because when we give our truth a voice, even in the smallest way, we begin to embody the life we've been waiting for. If this message found you at the right time, please take a moment to like this video, to subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and to let others feel the same energy you're sitting with now. This community is built not just on words, but on presence. On shared resonance. And your presence here helps keep that light alive. So before we part, let me remind you one last time, you don't need permission to shine. You don't need to be more than you are. You already are the light. You already are the sign. And today, the universe simply mirrored that truth back to you, so you could remember. And trust me, Leo, this is only the beginning.